All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we're going to talk about Mike Gesicki and the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I know my friend texted this in our group chat as well as Nelson, the basketball podcast host, who is in the chat. So O.J. Simpson has passed away. And that's kind of a big deal. Again, I mean, there's a lot of things that you could talk about with him, but we won't get into that. But I don't have anything out in front of me right now, but just because news broke. I just wanted to bring that up. I'm not going to really go into more detail with that. I don't know if any. Oh yeah, so we do have a post here. So former NFL running back, Heisman Trophy winner O.J. Simpson has passed away at the age of 76 after a battle with cancer. One of the most well-known figures in NFL history, and obviously with some other stuff that went on. Don't want to get into it, but he won the 1968 Heisman Trophy at USC, was the first overall pick in the 1969 NFL Draft, and was the NFL rushing leader 4 different times with the Bills. He rushed for 2,000 yards in just 14 games in 1973. Wonder if we'll ever see that again. Probably not. He was a 5-time All-Pro who finished his career with 11,236 yards before entering the Hall of Fame. So, what the post says, Simpson leaves behind a pretty complicated legacy, and that's I guess a good way to put it, if you want to even say that. But it's one nobody can erase from the story of the NFL. And of course, one of the comments on the post that I'm looking at right now says, "I'm sure these comments will be interesting to say the least." Yeah. I'm just gonna only mention the football career side of things because I don't want to get into everything else. So that happened. O.J. Simpson has passed away. Let's get into now. Yeah, again, it's always tough to kind of segue into what you're going to talk about after talking about something like this, but yeah, I try my best. I try my best, but yeah, there's never really an easy way to do that. So, let's get into now this topic here. So, Mike Gesicki had a couple things to say about Joe Burrow, and obviously he was one of their free agent acquisitions at tight end, and we're still kind of waiting on what they're going to do with T. Higgins. I know they traded Joe Mixon. They brought in Zach Moss to be the lead running back to form like a tandem with him and Chase Brown. We'll see if Chase Brown ends up being a good player for them. I know he was making some plays for them towards the end of the year. But we're waiting on T. Higgins. Tyler Boyd is still a free agent, who we'll talk about a little bit in the next segment regarding the Steelers. So, yeah. With Mike Gesicki now, this is what he talked about with Joe Burrow. He said that he's never been in the huddle with that kind of talent. This is what Gesicki said. He's been great. He's been somebody I've been able to reach out to and have conversations. He's been a leader in the locker room who a lot of guys look to. I'm definitely one of those guys looking to him. I've heard great things about him as a teammate. He's easy to talk to, good sense of humor. Let's see, what else did he say here? Over the last 5 years, I've seen him run across the field and make explosive plays. This is about Gesicki, I guess. Over the last 5 years, I've seen him run across the field and make explosive plays, go across the field like on a crossing route, and he's got enough speed and size to be able to separate and make those catches. Obviously, he can go down the seam, and his red zone stuff is impressive. Gesicki was a 2018 draft pick of the Dolphins. Spent the first 5 years of his career in Miami, starting 31 games over that span. Twice he recorded 700-plus receiving yards in a season, and in 2021 finished among tight ends with 73 receptions, a career high. Yeah, he was in New England briefly, and New England just wasn't great. Um, but yeah, I mean, for the Bengals, I think it's a good target to bring in. I mean, it's only I think on like a 1 year deal, so I mean, I know they brought in Irv Smith, last off season. I know when they had C.J. Uzama, he was productive for the Bengals with Burrow, but now you bring in Gesicki, so I mean, now again we got to wait and see what they do with T. Higgins. But now if you lose T. Higgins, I mean that only makes Gesicki's role more important. But yeah, high praise for him. I mean, you look at Gesicki and the quarterbacks that he's played with. Now he's playing with Joe Burrow, and Burrow obviously when he's healthy is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So I think that helps Gesicki out. And I think for fantasy owners, maybe Gesicki's one of those late tight ends, late round picks that you take a chance on. Because, the Bengals offense, when it's clicking, it's one of the best offenses in the NFL. And that's mainly, again, because of Joe Burrow. So, but yeah, I mean, Burrow is going to be the best quarterback that Gesicki has played with up to this point in his career. Because he's played with Tua, he's played with Ryan Fitzpatrick, Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi. Yeah, just Joe Burrow is easily the best quarterback that he's played with. Well, we got to see them play a game together now, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what kind of season Gesicki has. The Bengals, Joe Burrow is healthy. I mean, this team is one of the best teams in the AFC, and I know like when the Texans got Diggs, I know I was going over who the top teams are. I mean, I still think it's the Chiefs, the Ravens, and I think with the healthy Bengals squad, you had the Bengals. I would put them ahead of the Texans as well. So like you got the Bills and the Texans after that. But yeah, I mean if Burrow's healthy, like I mean I expect this team to be this team could throw a wrench in the Chiefs three-peating. Now there's other teams as well, like I said, the Ravens, the Texans as well. But I still look at the Bengals as the team that has the best shot to, just because they've done it before. And again, I mean, we still got to wait on what happens with T. Higgins, like I said, and you hope that the Bengals are able to keep him if you're a Bengals fan, because, again, you lose T. Higgins now. I mean, you lost him and you lost Tyler Boyd. Now, again, Tyler Boyd is still out there to bring back, but it doesn't seem like they're going to do that. But again, they paid Burrow. They want to pay Jamar Chase, so yeah, you're going to lose some guys, and they might end up losing T. Higgins as well. We'll see if he does get traded before next season. Maybe he gets traded during the draft. That's also possible. Also, I don't know I mean, I'm sure you guys that are watching saw this, but also Justin Jefferson was commenting on, Burrow and Chase's chemistry in Cincinnati. And it kind of seems like he feels left out. So maybe, I don't, obviously they all played at LSU together. So maybe, Justin Jefferson, maybe they do a Justin Jefferson T. Higgins swap. No, they're not going to do that. Well, I mean, that actually would be pretty crazy, but it's not going to happen. I don't think so. But, yeah, I mean, just imagine if Justin Jefferson went to Cincinnati. But again, if you're not going to pay T. Higgins, I mean, Justin Jefferson's going to be worth more money. So that just wouldn't work. But again, if they all teamed up together in the NFL, that'd be wild. But yeah, that's not happening right now. Justin Jefferson, he's with Sam Darnold, so that's his quarterback at the moment, and we'll see what the Vikings do with the draft, who they end up getting. But yeah, we're kind of getting off topic now. But yeah, with the Bengals here, they're healthy. One of the top teams in the AFC. Definitely. And like I said, them bringing in Zach Moss after trading Mixon. Zach Moss had a productive season with the Colts. Now he's really going to be the lead back there. And again, the Bengals, you look at them, they're a pass first team. But I think Zach Moss, he could be all right there. That's a good spot for him. So, we'll see what happens. But again, really, this whole season is going to be revolving around the health of Joe Burrow. Because if he's not healthy, then the Bengals they're not going to be able to. I mean, could they make the playoffs? I mean, Jake Browning didn't play that bad for him. They still finished with a winning record, even with Burrow getting hurt. But again, you're in a loaded conference. You're in a loaded division on top of that. So it would be tough. But you're hoping for a fully healthy Joe Burrow because, again, you had the calf injury before the season and he was playing through it, wasn't playing that good. Then, the calf injury became a thing of the past, and then all of a sudden you had the wrist injury now, and that just led to the end of his season. And yeah, it just that really derailed everything. Because again, I mean, if Burrow's healthy and the Bengals make the playoffs, I mean, they were like the hottest team one of the hottest teams in the NFL at the time of his injury. So he doesn't get hurt. Who knows what happens? But now we got 2024 and Burrow's healthy. I expect the Bengals to be one of the top teams in the AFC. I fully expect that. But yeah, I mean, they got to deal with now Derrick Henry in Baltimore. The Browns, if they're healthy, Bengals have a problem with them. At least in Cleveland, for some reason, they just can't beat them. I don't know what the problem is. But I mean, I know Burrow was injured week 1. He was playing hurt, but still, like in previous seasons, they just can't win in Cleveland. We'll see if that changes in 2024. But I know at least like with my spread pool, I'd probably take the Browns in Cleveland. But you know what's going to happen? Then the Bengals are going to end up winning. Yeah, you got a healthy Browns squad with Chubb and Watson coming back. And then, the Steelers, I mean, the Bengals they split with the Steelers. But again, they lost. Actually, no, they didn't split with the Steelers. The Steelers swept them. What am I saying? Because Kenny Pickett, with Matt Canada gone, they had 400 yards of offense. They won like 16-10, but that was with Brown. Well, both games were with Browning. And then both games with Burrow in 2022. Well, actually, the Steelers did win week 1 in 2022 with Trubisky as a starter, but then they lost later in the season with Pickett as a starter. But last year, yeah, the Steelers swept the Bengals, but that's because Burrow was hurt. Yeah, and then Mason Rudolph came in the second game, and the Steelers dominated. George Pickens had a huge game. Yeah, that was a rough game because, well, first of all, I picked the Bengals in my spread pool. Also, sat George Pickens in a league, and then started the Bengals defense in another, and that's why I lost by 1 point in the semifinals of my playoffs. Lost to the same friend in 2 leagues. So yeah, didn't win any money from football fantasy wise, but recently did win my fantasy basketball championship, as well as won some money from the ESPN bracket challenge group that we do every year. So we still won something, just not with football. So. But yeah, that's, yeah, again, went off on a tangent there, but, yeah, that's, so yeah, Mike Gesicki, back to the original point, Mike Gesicki looks like he likes being a Bengal, being with Joe Burrow, and let's see what they do together. Like I said, for fantasy, maybe Mike Gesicki's that tight end that, you go with that no tight end strat, and towards the end of the draft, you're like, all right, he's still available. Let me take him. Let me take a chance. Again, because, I mean, if they trade T. Higgins, you got Jamar Chase, who's going to get a ton of targets, but then somebody else has to step up. So, but yeah, so that's pretty much it regarding this topic. Let me know what you guys think about the Bengals, Mike Gesicki. How do you see Mike Gesicki performing with the Bengals and Joe Burrow? Again, I expect him to be decent, but we'll see. So when we come back from our final break, of the show. Speaking of the Steelers, because we did talk about them a little bit, and the Bengals, we'll talk about them and their search for another veteran wide receiver. So, with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.